What's up, class, and welcome to the official selections video for the No Mod Shop class settlement building contest. I'm sprinting here to get to the Skooled house. I'm running late for class because in case you haven't seen it, I posted a video the other day on my thoughts and feelings about Fallout 76, and it caused quite a stir. That video has gotten more comments than any other video I've posted on my channel. Let me show you some quick numbers and then we'll get on to the actual video. So let's take a look at one of my videos that's gotten the most views on the channel. My Pie is No Lie video. Now check this out. That video has gotten around 1.1 million views as of the posting of this video. It was previously the video with the highest number of comments. Now look at my Afterthoughts video. It reached the same amount of comments with only around 30,000 views as of the making of this video. That means a video with less than 3% of the views by comparison has got 100% as many comments. That's insane. It just goes to show you what a hotbed topic Fallout 76 has been in the gaming community. And some people wrote whole 1 or 2 page diatribes in the comments. I'm mainly bringing this up because I like to try to respond to as many comments as I can on my channel, but if I haven't responded to a comment you made on that video yet, you can certainly understand why. My main focus over the last week was finishing the selection process for the building contest because this was important to me, and then making this vote video. So before I get into the selection process, I just want to take a moment to tell you how impressed I was with all your entries. There was not one entry that I thought was trash from the start. I can tell everyone that entered put enormous heart and soul into their builds. And it was a really humbling experience knowing that I may have played a small part in inspiring such art. And as I continued watching your videos one by one over the last several weeks, it filled me with so much pride seeing all your creations. The way a real life teacher might look at his or her students on graduation day or something, you know. It was also cool to have people from all walks of life entering the contest. Contestants ranged from teenagers all the way to retirees. They ranged from here in America all the way to Asia and everywhere in between. I heard German accents, Spanish accents, British accents, Russian accents, Australian accents. There were couples that build settlements together, father and daughter teams. I think when we look back on Fallout 4 years from now, we're going to realize that we weren't just building settlements, we were also building memories. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is talk a little bit about how I selected the entries you're about to see. Now, many of you are itching to skip ahead and see who placed. I totally understand, and that's perfectly fine. I'll leave time codes in the description below. But if you weren't selected, or maybe your favorite YouTube builder wasn't selected, then what I'm about to go over will help explain the selection process. As I mentioned in the last update video, there were close to 100 entries for the contest. Not quite, maybe around 97 or so. It was easy to whittle down that number to about 85 because there were about a dozen dead links. Either people sent me the wrong link or they just researched the competition and decided to remove their entry. Not sure. Another half dozen people actually contacted me later and withdrew their entries on purpose because they noted some Creation Club or modded items that slipped into the video. I really appreciated their honesty on that, and I might still feature some of those entries in the ideas video I'll mention in a moment. Another half dozen or so got their entries a day or two after the deadline, and then another half dozen or so didn't have any audio. So while they may have had great builds, there was no way for them to point out the lessons they used or even really do a proper tour. And then another dozen or so entries were disqualified on various other rules technicalities as well. So when it all came down to it, there were right around 50 fully qualified entries that passed all the basic prerequisites. That was the easy part, but then it got more challenging. So from there, I ranked the videos on a scale from 1 to 10 for each of the 5 criteria I mentioned in the contest video: creativity, technical skill, originality, aesthetics, and decoration. Then I added the numbers up for each category and narrowed the starting 50 down to the top 10. Now this is where it got really hard, guys, I'm not gonna lie, especially with some of the numbers being so close. I have a new appreciation for Olympic judges, you know, or judges in other types of competitions like dance competitions or baking competitions. You know, 2 entries might be so close in numbers that it's just painful to choose between them. But that's where other factors come into play. Things like how many actual lessons did you use from the No Mod Shop class? Did you only use the minimum, or did you work in half a dozen or more? Did you use just the basics like the pillar glitch, the rug glitch, or the wire glitch, or did you use some of the more advanced lessons? And then other factors like settlement location. Some settlements are inherently trickier than others, so maybe one entry got bonus points for difficulty over another. Or scale, you know? If I had to choose between 2 entries that were equally close in rank and one was a smaller settlement and one was enormous, the one with more time and effort exerted would outrank by a few points. Or decor. Well, decorations was one of the the 5 categories, but if 2 entries were very close in pure technical skill, but one contestant put more effort into junk item decoration, then that would edge out the other. You get the idea. Also, technical skill was one of only 5 of the criteria. So if you put a huge amount of technical skill in your entry, you probably scored a 10 on that. But if there wasn't a whole lot of creativity and originality in the build, maybe you didn't score so high in those other areas and it brought the overall rank down. And there is a difference between creativity and originality, at least in my view. Creativity is using the tools you were given in highly innovative ways, whereas originality is doing things that no one else has seen before on an overall scale. I guess micro versus macro would be a good way to describe it, or at least how I judged it. I won't go into too much more than that, but I wanted to give you some general insights on the selection process so you know everything was judged fairly, and it was really agonizing trying to decide between the small cluster of entries that were ranked so close to each other. It really did come down to just a few differentiating factors, which is actually a compliment to those builders because I wasn't really expecting so many amazing entries. But when you see the finalists, you'll see why each of them deserved to win. So what I'll do now is showcase a few highlights from each finalist video, and then you guys get to decide the order of the winners from 5th place to 1st place using the iCard poll in the upper right hand corner. Actually, you only get to vote on who you think should win 1st place. Obviously, the entry with the most votes will win 1st place, but what I'll do is rank the 2nd through 5th place winners on the remaining vote tallies. I'll talk more about the voting process near the end of the video. But before we get into the official selections, I do want to give some shout outs to 5 runners up. It was so incredibly hard to decide among them, but they definitely deserve some credit for having amazing builds. So, in alphabetical order by username, a quick shout out to Adrian Lechuga, Baron958-762, Draco Invictus, Love for Body Mod, and Sardeliac. Just amazing entries, guys. Know that your entries were so close to getting in the top 5, it wasn't even funny. Fantastic work, and you'll be featured in the upcoming Best Settlement Ideas video, which I might as well mention now. So, for all of you who didn't make it into the semifinals, don't rush to take your video down or anything just yet, because in a month or so, I'm going to post a video called The Top 15 Coolest Settlement Ideas that will exclusively feature entries that didn't place, but had some amazing ideas. Not only will this give you a second shot at some recognition, but it will actually help inspire others with some of your amazing creativity and, maybe help direct some more traffic your way. Because, there were so many things I saw in some of the entries that didn't win that will just blow you away, and they definitely deserve credit for that. Okay, now on to the finalists. What I'll do is showcase some highlights I liked in their entries, but you really need to watch their whole video to appreciate how good they are. Again, links to those videos down in the description below. I'll do a little bit of talking over each of the highlights, but not too much because I don't want to bias your opinions. Also, I mentioned in the original rules video that audio quality shouldn't be a factor in your decision, or accents or anything like that, because not everyone's a professional YouTuber. So you may need to turn up the volume on some of their videos or turn on subtitles, but that shouldn't take away from the quality of their builds. Also, I'll showcase the finalists in alphabetical order to be fair, and YouTube may interrupt some of them with an ad, but try to stick around and watch them all if you can to get the best sense of the winner. Okay, you guys ready? We'll start off the bunch with an entry by Rᴜɣᴇʀᴇ. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. His entry was one of the most ambitious of the bunch because it was so big. As a result, you'll notice some frame lag. I can definitely relate because I ran into the same problems in my Grey Garden build. But definitely give it a watch because it's just amazing some of the things he was able to pull off. The next entry was from Jedi Clone Mark. Wow, this guy came out of left field with a settlement that was better than most professional Fallout 4 YouTubers I've seen, including myself. I'm kind of speechless actually, so I'll let the highlights speak for themselves. And he was considerate enough to explain some of the techniques that he used in the video so no one would think he used mods. In fact, I even contacted him about a few things just to be sure. After recreating some of the things he did in tests, I can confirm with absolute certainty that he didn't use any mods. The next entry is from a builder named NastyBones3D. This guy recreated the freaking Star Trek Enterprise, which is breathtaking. Now, to be fair, I should mention that he's been working on this build for probably a year now and decided to repurpose it for a contest entry. However, there wasn't anything in the rules that said you had to create a new build for the contest, and he followed the rest of the rules, so his entry totally qualifies. So beam on over to his video from the link in the description and prepare for Phaser on Stun. The next entry was from Richard Stengel. This guy recreated the look and feel of Paris, France in his build, which is totally original. Certain elements of this build were some of the most creative I've seen, definitely thinking outside the box. Now, he divided his video into 2 parts, so you'll want to watch part 1 and part 2, but together they're about the same length as the other entries. He just divided it into 2 for upload purposes. But as you can see from the highlights, it's definitely worth checking out. And the last entry is from Jokersgirl-X. She did her settlement at Oberlin Station, and that train terminal is so cool. I'm actually a bit jealous I didn't think of that for my school bus station. But jealous in a good way, you know, admiration for her creativity. The level of detail in her settlement is amazing, down to the smallest decorations, and I love the dimensionality of it too. Anyway, this settlement definitely feels lived in, so check it out and you won't be disappointed. Alright class, so those are the finalists. Your job now is to vote for the first place winner in the iCard above. But seriously, go give each entry a full watch on their channels before you decide. And for those of you who placed, feel free to vote on your own entry of course, and you're also welcome to invite friends and family and people in your social circles to come vote as well. And you're welcome to answer any questions viewers may have in the comments below. Like if they see something that looks like a mod item, you'll want to quickly dispel that with a friendly explanation. Unless it does turn out to be a mod and I missed it, but I did try and vet all the finalists to the best of my ability. Also, for the rest of you guys, please only positive comments about the entries. You know, no need to trash anyone's build if you like someone else's, or say who you're voting for specifically. We have a great community down in the After School Club, so I doubt there'll be any comments for me to delete, but I had to mention it anyway. You guys will have a little less than 2 weeks to get in your votes, which should be plenty of time. I'll tally the votes at the end of the month and post a short follow-up video a couple days later announcing the placement of the winners and the prize showcase. Again, a big thanks to everyone who put in the time and effort to submit an entry. It was so much fun checking out all your talent. Just all around amazingness, and I wish everybody could win. But I'm excited to see how the votes shape up. Gotta love democracy, right? Thanks for watching. Throw a like on the video and subscribe to stay updated, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.